briefing. Wait, yeah. Okay, first of all, apologies for the delay because we have some technical issue and now it has been fixed. I hope you guys are still okay. All right, I'm Aina from the Standard Unit. On behalf of MPOCC, I would like to thank you for your time to join for our today's short briefing. All right. Good job. Okay, can you see my agenda? Okay, for today's agenda, we will start a few words from Mr. Chia Chi-en, the Manager of Systems Management Department. Before we continue with our main agenda, the MSPO GHG calculator briefing by Encik Daman Huri. Then at the end of the briefing, we will open for the Q&A session, and then we will wrap up our session for today. Before we proceed further, allow me to inform you the rules for today's session. Okay, the first one is any type of recording, either audio, video, photo by the participant of this meeting is prohibited. By participating in this meeting, you are agreed to be recorded. The recording is for meeting and minutes purpose only. Participants will be muted when entering the Zoom call. You will need to click the raise hand icon to be allowed to speak. Next, please note down your question or clarification and raise it during the Q&A or type it out in the chat box. Please state your name and organization before you speak. Please keep everything civil and cordial. And lastly, all the comments and feedback in the chat box will be compiled. Okay. Without further ado, please welcome Mr. Chia for his welcoming remarks. I will stop the sharing. Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Aina. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's briefing. This briefing is part of our public comment period, and we are doing this briefing to familiarize or to let the public know or the industry know about the draft 2 MSPO GHG calculator that we have developed so far. Yeah, maybe I'd just like to ask our participants, because we did initially put the rules that we will not share this recording out, but we do have some inquiries whether will this video or the recording of this session be available later or not. So like to know from participants whether it'll be okay if you want the video to be publicly available, we can put it on our YouTube channel by next week, I guess. Or if you feel uncomfortable, you can mention in the chat, so we will judge based on the chat whether to make it yes. See a few yeses. Okay, you can continue type, and we'll let you know by the end of the session whether we actually do it or not. Okay, so as I said, the public comment period is from 21st November until 20th December. It is a 1-month period, and this is to provide the public a chance to see what the MSPO calculator is about and to actually test it. So you can actually use what has been provided, and that is a session that we have today. So we will Encik Daman, which was appointed by MPOCC, will give you a briefing. He designed it, and he will give you a briefing. In the MSPO standards, Principle 5, Criterion 4 has a requirements for GHG emissions, and from Part 2 up to 4.2, which includes 2.2 for organized smallholders, 3.1 and 3.2 for all estates, 4.1 for mills, and 4.2 for processing facilities. All of these parts will require to conduct the GHG assessment and report it back to the scheme owner, which is MPOCC. So that's the proposal for the calculator. I did left out 2.1 and 4.3 because in the standard, it just mentions that they need to be aware of GHG emissions, and paper traders do not need to declare their GHG, do not need to in that sense, there is no requirement for GHG at all for paper traders. So we are actually focusing more today on part 2.2 up to 4.2 for today. So yeah, as mentioned, we have appointed Encik Daman, which will be our main speaker for today. He will brief you on what the calculator is about, and we would like to hear from you lah. So you can either ask questions today. Today we have our session. We're supposed to end at 12. Maybe we'll end slightly later because we started slightly late. But we would actually prefer if you will use the public comment form, which is on our website, to provide any comments that you have on the calculator back to us. So just a bit of background. This is the second draft of the GHG calculator. Draft 1 has been, we have commented, we discussed with Encik Daman, we have commented. So second draft is up for public comment. We have, if you're familiar with the standards, especially the part 3.2, which is technically the most the heaviest requirement, there is requirements for land use change, use of fertilizer, transportation of fertilizer and agricultural input, use of energy, and crop sequestration and conservation area. So there are actually 5 categories that are supposed to be calculated. But after evaluation, we find that land use change and crop sequestration will be quite difficult to evaluate, and we actually would require slightly more time in terms of deciding what the necessary values are. So we have actually removed those sections. Encik Dama actually gave it to us, but we felt it might be a bit too early and we need to have more discussions with certain authorities. So we have removed that. So as of the draft that you have is focused more on energy and the use of materials, fertilizer and transportation. What's happening? Anyway, so that is all for my introduction. Thank you so much for everyone who's come. Again, do submit your comments. You can put it in the chat, or if you have comments on the calculator itself, you can use the public comment form that is in our website to comment on the calculator. So once again, thank you, and have a good briefing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chia, for the introduction. And now I would like to invite Encik Daman to demonstrate the GHG calculator. Encik Daman, you may share your screen now.
Okay, Aina. Does it appear in your screen now?
Yes, Encik Daman, it's appeared.
Okay. So can I start?
Yes, Encik Daman, you can start now.
Okay. Sorry, I'm not feel very well today. Assalamualaikum and very good morning to all of you. Thanks for the participation from all industrial player to give your feedback, your comment, positive response in order to get the outcome about the calculation according to MSPO requirement. My name is Daman Huri Mohammad. You can address me Daman, the person who has been responsible and given responsibility to develop the tools to ensure that conforming with the MSPO requirement under clause 4.5.4. Okay, very short one about the tools, yeah, because my main concern actually is more to the how to use the calculator, yeah. Basically about the tool, it has been developed based on Microsoft Excel format, yeah. So the reason why we use Excel format. The format, the Excel is most universal method approach which can be utilized by all level of people. So that's the reason why. No need to do the installation, yeah. How to set up, yeah. So the minimum process that we can use the tools actually can be usable by all parties. And also for these tools, it's actually got referred to the recognized approach or sources from other external GHG process calculation and assessment. Example like IPCC, yeah, EU directive, and almost I refer to the ISCC GHG emission list, and also the approach that is being used by Biograce. I've been reviewed, and the area that suitable to be applied in the tool, I have captured on that particular area. And also I did study from the paper, yeah, project paper, and also books. So from there, I can get some ideas how to set up and develop the tools. And the main element that we need to set the criteria for this tool is actually how that the tool can be utilized by all operating units. Because we have to understand MSPO is applicable to the palm oil producer, regardless how big, how small they are. So in this case, we have to see in terms of the capacity, in terms of the ability for them to apply that calculation process. So that's why we decided to use a Microsoft Excel format that it applies to be used in the context of Malaysian palm oil industry. Okay, the features, basically, as I mentioned, the calculator will compatible with Microsoft Excel format, yeah, but it doesn't mean applicable to all. Please ensure that your PC, your computer must be provided or installed with Microsoft Excel, the latest format. So for those who have the format, the older version, it might not be run actively or make compatible to use the format. Example like XLS, yeah, the older format. And same thing for those person who use the uncompatible Excel or spreadsheet. Example like use Apple laptop, yeah, so may not being utilized that tool. And for your information, what differences that we can say compared with other standards, MSPO versus other standard. Based on MSPO requirement, we will calculate the GHG emission based on individual basis. So meaning to say that when the calculation process for plantation activity, it may not involve other processes. The element that we can see from palm oil mill, which is like other standard like ISCC, they may involve the emission that being generated by feedstock supplier like plantation. But in MSPO, what we have discussed between myself and MPOCC personnel, yeah, the emission from plantation will not take into account on the emission result at palm oil mill. So this is the thing that we need to confirm, so that no any issue when there is a question related to the calculation boundary process. Then the system also being sorry, I have to point out here. The system also being protected, yeah, to ensure that we need to minimize any adverse effect later, because if the template is open, so many things will come out. Yeah, question by the user. So that's why we will protect the tools, and and the system being developed also by taking into consideration of the user only playing a role as a data entry only. Yeah, they just insert the data while the result will come out immediately or automatically. So this is the thing where we try to load down the duty of the user. So what you are going to do is only the insert the data only. And some more, this tool also know any baseline determination, meaning to say that it's open to the user to set your own baseline. But common practice that normally that I address is actually for the first year of the calculation is your current baseline, so that in subsequent year you can review whether any possibility can be improved further or not. So this is the thing that you can apply in your operational activity. And some more, the system is allowed for the user to add, to add the emission factor. If you think that the emission factor came from the recognized sources, see, it's open to you. Which is later I will guide you how to perform that process. Yeah. Next is how that we can demonstrate that the tool is user friendly. Yeah. So as I mentioned just now, the user only key in the data while the result will be automatically appear. And also user will direct use without any editing. And some more no any installation, no plugin, yeah. So everything is come into your package. As long as your laptop have installed with Microsoft Excel with latest version, yeah. Then some more, as I mentioned also, this tool calculator focus on the data entry, yeah. So no need to do further, no need to think further. Unless you want to do study further, that during the public comment session, then you can respond through the proper channel. Then finally, this calculator has provided with the features of they will prompt user when they are mistakenly or make a double counting, yeah, in terms of data entry, where the error will be triggered immediately with the certain mark or certain sign that appear when they are mistakenly done by the user. And some more, the user will prompted when they saw the selection format, yeah, not as per calculator's requirement. So from the setting itself, it will be guided through the color, which is I will guide you. I will show you how to use that process of calculation. Yeah. Then some more. This tool also provide the features which is they can prevent the multiple counting, so that if that unintentionally that not aware that user key in the data, yeah, double counting, so the system will trigger to you through the color. Okay, next. So for the system, the calculator, what are the important to user to know in here is, first thing, the user must provide the data so that the data will capture and transfer into the calculator. Based on the organization data, it provides the information related to the production quantity, yield quantity, yeah, transportation of transportation of product, yeah, supply chain element. Then from there, it can extend to the calculator, so that the calculator will generate the process emission based from input entered in the organization data. And at the same time, we need to consider also the emission factor will be selected, yeah, automatically will be selected based on the input that being opted by the user. So this is the thing where how that the calculator will be function in order to meet with the MSPO requirement. While the final result, which is demonstrated by the emission summary, will be appeared automatically without any additional process required. So it simplified the process, while user only can see the result based on the data that been inserted, yeah, in the organization data, and also the input that been inserted in calculator. Okay. Then the next, I will stop share in here. Then I will go to the calculator itself. Okay, can you see from your screen now? Okay, yeah. Okay, this is the outlook about the calculator. Yeah, for those who already downloaded the calculator from MPOCC website, maybe you have tried, yeah, that tool. Maybe from there also you can give your feedback. I'm open if there any input that to be proposed, to be recommended, as long as you can provide us the solution. Yeah. So any feedback must provide the solution so that we can review, we can analyze the value of that response and feedback so that it can improve the tools when the official calculator will be released. Okay. Now, when you open the file, the area, the element that you need to apply is, first thing you need to go to the organization. Yeah, organization. Anyhow, this tool actually provide the information similar like a website, because it has been add in with the button, so that easily for you to go to the which section. Yeah. Second option, you can use a tab in the bottom side. Then the rest, you can use the button. The first thing that you need to know, other than you can go to the information as stated in the definition, yeah, user manual. Maybe if you want to directly use that platform, yeah, that calculator, you can go to the organization. So you need to put the organization name, address, yeah, address example like Shah Alam. Then some more. Next, what you are going to do is you need to select, yeah, you need to select what is your operating unit. Yeah, example in here, you need to select, example in here is a medium scale of plantation. So automatically the selected unit will be prompted, yeah, will be appear, so that you can go to the data entry. So in here, you just click a data entry. Then from there, you have to put the information that required for company to add based on 12 months activity. Example in here is you put the name, estate A, example, how many hectare. Quite important for you to have to give the accurate data, because it will reflect to the final result later. Yeah. Here you put the 500 example. Additional information, maybe you can put a year. Then some more like Maybe this is the data for yield. Then you can go to the supply base. So from there, you can add example in here like, then the supply base is 50%. Then importantly, you need to put the distance, yeah, because one of the element, one of the factor that contribute to the emission is talk about the transportation of product, yeah, transportation of product, which is option will be given whether you want to choose the actual fuel or by distance. So that's why the system will opt for user to select whether by distance or by actual distance. So in here we will to put by distance. Example, distance is 100. Then maybe on the mill B we put 50,000, same. Then the representative of 50% also. Then the distance will be kilometer. So the quantity of metric ton must be equivalent with the total yield. Yeah. Then what is the impact? So from there, once you fill up the data, go to the data entry, which is it will automatically bring the user to the calculator. So in here, let me, okay. So in here we have, yeah, few buttons, quite important for you to use so that important to use for so that you can go to the process. Yeah, example in here, you can go to the fertilizer application. So for the fertilizer application, importantly, you need to understand about the color figure. Yeah, red means you still need to add the information. So in here, you just select what are the properties that being used for fertilizer application. Yeah, when the properties has been selected, the relevant cell will be appear in red color. Red color means you need to add the input. Yeah, still remain red color until you put the data entry. Yeah, example, the source of the data is from inventory record example. Then what is the quantity? Quantity, example, you put 1,000 metric, 1,000 kilogram. Then AI is talk about maybe 46%. Then the result will be automatically appear. So no need to do analysis. What I try to share with you also how that the system will trigger when you are wrongly put or wrongly select the information in here. Let's say example that you cancel the data selection, example in here. So automatically it will appear with the red color font and also strike through. It gives indication that you need to do something with that cell. So the thing is you need to just delete. Otherwise it will reflect to your data. So this is the thing that we need to understand about the tool so that it will guide you for minimizing any error. Yeah. Same thing for other process. For the fertilizer, it has been provided with the selection of the single properties and also for compound. So for compound, this is the four properties that involve. Maybe if you have other type of properties, let's say example, in here only NPK, Mg also, maybe if there any other properties like maybe boron, yeah, you can suggest so that we can add other element that more relevant to the industrial practice. For compound fertilizer, what are the elements that we need to use only at the data? Yeah. Then only you can add the quantity. Yeah. Then you can add percentage. Yeah. If no any relevant item has to be included, you can put 0. Yeah. So the emission result will be automatically appear. Okay, other features that we can see from this template also, let's say the use of fertilizer or other properties only few item only. Then you can hide that cell. Yeah, in here you can click the cell to be hidden so that the reporting will be more presentable for company to print out or keep in the PDF format. So in here, it's more useful for company to keep it as a documented information. Yeah, that which is you can apply to other subject also. Then you can hide in here. Okay, next we go to the pesticide. Yeah, for the pesticide, at this moment, I just provide the two properties only, pesticide and glyphosate. So when question may ask about how about herbicide, yeah, fungicide. So herbicide and fungicide normally we can put together in the pesticide. But if for the industrial player, if you have your own reference related to the properties that I mentioned just now, then you can propose in your recommendation. Yeah, same thing, you can hide. Yeah, you can hide that process for documented information. For the electrical and fuel, quite direct. Yeah, in here, in terms of selection of energy, it divided by Peninsula Malaysia and also Sabah and Sarawak. Same thing, if you have your own genset, then in here you can use, yeah, you can select based on the information provided whether you use a genset or not. Yeah, if you put the genset as part of your energy generation, then you can add the information, similar thing as I mentioned just now. Okay, the other area that we need to consider about emission is talk about the fuel consumption. Yeah, fuel consumption, where for fuel consumption has been given with two options. Yeah, which is you can measure by actual diesel consumption or measure by distance. Yeah, so in here you can select based on actual diesel consumption lah. This is maybe can help user, especially if they have their facility like a skid tank, yeah? So they can have a figure on the diesel consumption. But if you don't have supporting evidence on that particular matter, then they can measure by distance. So for the distance, they can use the evidence of that. Example like truck ID, maybe for the activity of sprayer. What is the distance, one-way distance, maybe just 15 kilometers? How many trips per year? You can estimate. Within a year, how many trips? Example, in 1 year, total 100, sorry. Okay, 100 tip number. So from there, also, sorry, I can detect error in here. Sorry for that. Supposingly the trips must be provide the input in here. Yeah, you can, but then I will take note on that. Okay, supposingly the trips number will be included so that we can calculate the total emission based on distance multiplied by total trips per year. So this is how that the emission for cultivation activity for the activity from the spraying. Other type like maybe harvesting, harvesting, transportation provided for the workers from office to the field. So maybe if that involved in that particular activity, you can include that process. Next is transportation. So for the transportation, it will involve the same thing for the distance, or diesel consumption. So for the distance, for diesel consumption, very direct, you just input for the quantity in here. For the diesel consumption, so for by distance, what are the elements that we need to see? If you can see from here, actually this data was captured from the earlier organization data that you provided. Then from there, we can add the process of the activity to include the data. In the example, for the truck ID reference, maybe the truck capacity, we put 20 metric ton, Then what is the ratio from the total production by using this truck number? Example, 50% of the truck. So meaning to say it was estimated 1,000 trips per year when company using the truck with this capacity. Then some more, why this 50% it's still it's still red? Because we need to ensure that it must be 100%, So we need to put 50%, then it will turn to normal, Otherwise, the font still remain in red color. So in here, example, you need to put the truck capacity. Example in here, 15. Then the truck. So this is the emission result in here. Okay. So then from there, you can put, let's say, example in here, you just send to the mill A only, So then you can have this element need to key in. I want to cut short because in here, finally, you will get the summary, which is the summary will provide you the measurement based on MSPO requirement in here. So no need to do further on the element on the process. As I mentioned earlier during briefing point, what the thing that you need to do is only just data entry process only. So this is the element that we need to see for plantation. Then other processing unit, maybe we can use a palm oil mill. Same thing, for palm oil mill, the element that we need to select is based on the organization data, same thing. Then in here, you need to select the mill. Okay, mill. Then from there, you have to select the data. Then information that you need to see, need to add in here is put the information related to the information for the mill. Example, in here you need to add, need to add mil, yeah. Then some more year, FFP process, yeah. CPO, maybe CPO is too high actually. Okay, example in here. Yeah? I just get an example on CPO. Yeah. So from there, you can add what other information that here for you to add. Then same thing, you need to put the distance. This is just an example only. After you fill up that process, maybe you can delete and go to the data entry. So in here, quite similar with the calculation process for plantation, which is you just only to key in the data. The only thing is the data might not similar as plantation because for palm oil mill, it related to the internal processing involving the chemical process. So in here, what are the elements that you need to select is you have to pick what are the properties that being used in palm oil palm processing activities. Similar thing that you need to, what are you are going to do here is, example in here, you use a lubricant in the processing activity, the data, yeah, how many quantity that being used, active content for lubricant 100%, yeah. So in here will automatically provide the data. The process step almost similar. The different only for the, let me check in here. POME, yeah. For the POME, you can opt whether you want to choose by CPO production or by POME generation. Yeah, CPO production or by POME generation. So in here, it's up to you to put the data based on the cell colored triggered to your side. Yeah. Let's say example, if you want to put the by CPO production, yeah, treatment by open pond, yeah, how many production that you being treated by open pond. So from there you can sorry, in here, example, if you put 100% treatment by open pond, so this is the emission result. If company has facility for methane capture or composting or any other facilities, they provide more option for company to fill up. Yeah, example in here, treatment will by open pond maybe by 40%, methane capture 30%, then another 30% by composting. Example, it provides information in here. Okay, so the rest of activity is quite similar. I don't want to take longer time because in here, the calculation process quite similar with this. Now I go to how to edit the emission factor. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, if you have the data or if you have resources, information related to the emission data came from the recognized sources, valid, trusted. Yeah, trusted means you have to put the source in here because end up it will be verified and reviewed by the auditor during the certification audit. Yeah, Then from there, how that you can do here, you need to, first thing, you need to unprotect. After unprotect, you need to insert. Then from there only you can put the data. Example in here, data emission property A. So the unit still same by kilogram N. Maybe the emission factor based on the emission factor stated is 1. The source is from what? University, example. So in here, what is the impact? The impact is you can find in here, in the data, it will provide you the property A. Yeah. So for the property A, then it will provide you the information about the process. So this is the thing how the system, the calculator will open, provide you the flexibility of the selection of emission factor, so that the important thing that the validity of or the result of emission will be recognized and provide information, accurate information to the public. Okay. The additional information also for the processing facility, but the processing facility is, I would say that not many operating unit are under category of a processing facility like KCP, refinery, or other process. And also for the dealer, yeah, for the dealer is almost simple in terms of the emission process. Anyhow, to provide information to meet with the MSPO requirement, I have included the dealer also. And for biomass producer is another element included in MSPO, but they are referring to another Malaysian standard, MS2530. Yeah. So in here, it provide information or provide facility to facilitate the calculation process for the operating unit in order to meet with the MSPO requirement. So I think now almost at 11 o'clock, I think within an hour, it's good for us to hear from audience, from your feedback. Maybe you have used or tried that calculator earlier. Then from there we can do better in terms of the calculator when the calculator is going to be released soon as an official tool for us to measure the GHG. I think I back to Aina, yeah, for you to go to the next session. Aina.
Okay. Thank you very much, Encik Daman, for your explanation. We actually have received quite a lot of questions from the floor, and we will pick some question and we will read it to you for your discussion. However, for all participants, kindly inform that we only be discuss selected question here. Maybe. Okay. All other question and comments in the chat will be considered as public comment, and we will still encourage you to include in the public comment form. Okay. Okay. We have a question regarding on the establishment year. Cik Daman, can you clarify what is the meaning of establishment year? Is it year of planting or year of start clearing? And okay, Okay, that's the first question.
Okay, establishment year is a start of planting. But
Okay.
but in the context of calculation, the establishment year, it does not provide any impact to the emission result. It just gives the information, further information, especially when the tools or the process will be audited by the certification body auditor or internal auditor only. But clearly it not reflect or not give impact to the emission result.
Okay, how about for the mill? Is it establishment year for the mill?
Same thing, operating year.
Okay, for me it's for operating year.
Yep.
For the establishment year, is it based on the calendar year, January to December, or any 12-month period?
Just put the initial year on. When start, like say example, in December 2000, then you can put year 2000.
Okay.
And also, as I mentioned, it does not impact to the overall emission, because it just provide information or data for organizational activity
What
only.
is the period? Sekejap, I tak faham itu. Dia cakap.
Okay, second question, Encik Daman, just
Yes.
to read to you. The data for GHG is calculated based on calendar year. Does it mean January to December or any 12-month period?
A company can opt whether they want to use by default January to December or by their fiscal year. Yeah. Some company they start to activate their calendar year by April to March. But then if they are sufficiently can extract the data based on January to December, then should be okay. But if they face the difficulties, then they can follow with that time period. No issue in it. Only thing they have to mention it and explain it to the auditor when being asked by them.
Okay. Okay, for the third question,
Mhm.
is it one Excel is one operating unit? If a mill got a few own estate supply base, can they just make a copy of the estate sheet? Let's say if they have 10 estate, will be possible to compute all input data for the estate GHG emission into one calculator sheet.
Okay. This calculator actually provide or to be used for one operating unit only. Yeah. Please let me know if my answer is not aligned with your question. Yeah. Actually, this tool only provide for one unit only, so cannot be shared. Yeah. So in this case, if the two estates in one company, so they have to save as with two different type of files. So in here, quite important to understand. Yeah. Okay. Only thing, if maybe one company, they have two different operating unit, one in an estate and another one is mill, so they can share. Sharing means sharing with the same activity or the product of palm oil. Am I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. We move to the next question. Does the transportation includes the sea transportation?
Sea transportation. Okay. In this case, I will open to you all. Any case happen or not for the sea transportation for FFB or CPO? Because as I mentioned, this tool is actually relevant to be practiced based in the context of Malaysian palm oil industry. But if there is a needs to add including the sea transportation, it can be part of the consideration to be added in. Anyway, please follow to the proper channel for the recommendation and also provide the rationale for that activity. Otherwise, the tool is so complicated to add the information that very less relevancy to the subject of palm oil industry within Malaysia.
Okay. For the next question, okay. They have a suggestion for the quantity for pesticide and fuel change to liter. Is it possible, Cik Daman?
Okay, one thing that we need to consider also is not to talk about the unit use for the properties. The main thing that we need to consider is how that the property that being used will match with the selected emission factor. Yeah. If emission factor only provide by kilogram, so no choice. We have to, whatever reason, we have to switch. Yeah, based on current use in liter, we need to convert it into kilogram. Yeah, but there's the process lah. We need to do calibration. Yeah, put the 1 liter and measure it to weight in kilograms so that you can find the figure. Yeah. Anyway, if you can find any person, audience, yeah, if you find the emission factor, which is using the unit of liter, yeah, please provide us supported with the valid source. Then from there, we can give the option in the emission factor. It's okay, we can update it. Yeah. The reason why we use a kilogram, very straightforward, because of the emission factor has used the kilogram in the unit. Okay.
Okay. And then for the next question, regarding the electricity supply. How about if the electric supply is from mill? As the option there is only for government electrical supply.
Okay, if from mill, they have to know about other element, yeah, other properties to generate the electricity. Let's say example, for a mill, maybe from genset, they use a diesel. So then from there, we just measure based on diesel. Yeah, if the power generation came from the turbine, then we can see what is the input to fuel, yeah, the power generation. Other than that is consider zero. Okay.
Okay. Another question on the electricity. If is it from the biogas plant, how to calculate the emission?
Sorry, again.
If the electricity from biogas plant, how to calculate the emission?
Biogas plant. In here, we have to refer to the, I do believe that biogas plant is mainly generated from pome. Correct me if I'm wrong, yeah. Am I understand currently, the biogas plant fueled by the methane, yeah, captured. Then according to the study, when conversion from methane to CO2, yeah, it consider reduce the emission, where the emission has been benefited to the how to say, benefited to the environment. Yeah, so that's why the emissions should be zero on that. Only thing, any other element contribute to the generating the electricity, then only we have to add into that. Example, the use of diesel, yeah, during the initial part of the generation, any other lubricant to use, then only we can input on that particular matter.
Is it same with the solar?
I did study before, but difficult to make a conclusion. whether solar also provide because actually this is in the process, also in the process study, because sometimes in the limitation of the study process on the solar part, I not include on that particular method. But then I'm open. If you have a proper method to measure the emission from solar, I'm almost welcome. Almost welcome. Provide me the approach to use solar. Provide me the evidence of emission factor, because I noticed got a few emission factor for solar, but still I feel very odd when referring to the source of that emission factor. It's not from I based on my personal view, it's not from recognized sources. So I just place aside for the calculation of emission from the solar energy.
Okay, just to
As I
remind
mentioned,
participants again, yeah.
please.
The calculator was designed for Malaysian lah. So if you really do have situations that is rare, like for example transport by sea, or use solar or use petrol even for your energy generation, it's rare. I mean, practically there's not many entities who do this because it could be expensive, it could be just basically rare. Please use the public comment form to send it to us, because we will want to know if you're doing it, how are you calculating, and maybe if you have any emission factors, we want to know what is it. So if you want it to be in the calculator, you need to give us at least where you're getting this information from so that we can include it maybe. But if it's so rare, we might not lah, because again, like what Mr. Daman said, it would make the calculator very complicated. Okay, so you can ask your questions here, but if you really want it to be in the calculator, please use the comment form because we need more information. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Daman, you were saying something just now?
I think I have the same view with Mr. Chia. We just want to cover for the common process within the operating unit. But if you think that quite important also for us to cover that scope of activity, it's okay. Maybe it's something good for us to learn about the new process where it can possible to minimize the emission result. For that. Okay, please proceed, Aina.
Okay, thank you, Encik Daman. Okay, this is continue from the electricity. How they can convert from kilowatt to kg, and then there is a suggestion to include a cell to convert kilowatt to kg in electricity usage.
Kilowatt to kg.
Convert.
May I know the conversion is referring to what subject? Because based on the data from emission factor, based on my knowledge as far as I concern, no any conversion for the kilowatt to kg. Kilowatt is kilowatt itself. The element that may conflict or may interact each other is only by liter to the kg only. So far, so far. For kilowatt to kg, normally is not happen at this moment.
Okay, we continue to the next question. How they to separate the diesel consumption for every single activity? Do they need to separate all the diesel consumption for single activities?
Okay, this how to say, how because in terms of the consumption, company can set your ratio, your ratio. So that's why in here the calculator provide the option for company to choose different type of method. If they are not able to split or divide their use of energy, they can use other option like by distance or by other means. So in here, maybe if you want to stick to choose by actual unit of diesel, maybe you can do the simple calculation through ratio, yeah, by estimation only. And for your information, this is based on my experience, yeah, maybe right, maybe not so right, where the calculation process is not realistic to the actual data if we don't find the actual figure. Maybe we can use the proportion or by ratio, by percentage, by estimation. Then can give a clear about the result later. Because why? How accurate, how valid, sometimes very subjective, and some more the ultimate findings that we try to obtain is actually the possible or estimation of the emission of CO2 only. Yeah, only thing not so obvious in terms of the data entry process, which is wrongly taken from different source. That's only thing I can mention. Yeah, you can use a ratio, percentage, and proportion.
Okay. We move to the next question. What is the baseline or guideline for the total emission in order for the company to take any mitigation measures?
Okay, because of MSPO, based on standard requirement, yeah, did not provide any standard. I don't think it's quite similar with other standard, except for a few standard like ISCC. Even ISCC also not provide the target or what. They just follow to the higher level of the requirements. Same goes to MSPO. So in this case, what is the element that we need to take into consideration is you can start to use this format, then you can get the final result, where this final result can set a baseline for the initial year. Then from there, you can foresee any possibility can be reduced or not. Nothing to worry if in subsequent year, the emission result will possibly higher. Yeah, because why? Maybe company, example like plantation, they have planned for replanting. So for replanting program, it may increase the emission based on per metric ton FFB produced. So from there, what are the elements that you need to consider is how that you can plan into that particular data, yeah, then will come out with the program in terms of the baseline. Yeah, are you clear with that? Simple to say,
Yes.
actually, no target setting at this moment. Yeah, no target setting.
Okay. It is clear for the yang penanya. Okay. We move to the next question. What is the meaning of the source in the calculator?
Okay, source. I believe that the source that you addressed just now is talk about the emission factors sources. Yeah, the sources of the emission factor provide the information to say that or to demonstrate that propose or recognize emission factor came from a valid source and trusted source. So you have to for the user, if you have your own source, you have to provide the maybe literature study, yeah, the book name, the source, or as simple as you can provide the website. Maybe if the source came from the recognized, but don't put the google.com lah, yeah. Just put the very genuine and also a valid source, so that the source will be reviewed and audited by auditor, certification body auditor, then let them verify whether the accuracy of the sources will be demonstrated or not.
Okay, thank you, Cik Daman. Okay, for the next question. This one is citation. Okay. Do mill have to calculate the emission on behalf of smallholders?
Boleh? It's a good as part of the CSR. Importantly, don't use the same step. Yeah. Example, the 2 mills put in one tab, then should be problem. It should be an issue. But if the mill wanted to help the smallholder, then you can put in the section of plantation. No issue in this case.
Okay. For the next question. Is the emission factors are fixed or will change based on authority or certification body declaration?
Based on my understanding, certification body will not provide the emission factor. Yeah. Auditor only do the verification only. Yeah. They will not provide the list of emission factor. Or maybe during the audit, auditor will propose, will recommend, normally it will be treated as unofficial because there's a very basic principle of auditing process. Auditor cannot do the recommendation. Yeah. Yeah. PM tepi, that's normal lah. But normally it will not report. Sharing, yeah, that's okay. Okay. Am I answered the question?
Okay. Thank you, Cik Daman. For the next question. Sekejap ya. Okay, one question. The FFB suppliers can get the GHG copies or just the mill to provide the copy, like RSPO calculator. The FFB supplier cannot get the copy unless the mill provided to them.
Please repeat again.
Okay. The FFB suppliers can get the GHG copies or just the mill to provide the copy, like RSPO GHG calculator. The FFB supplier cannot get the copy unless the mill provided to them.
Okay. In this case, it should be back to the what is the requirement addressed by clause 4.5.4. This is the duty of the operating unit to do the assessment. Yeah, meaning to say that every individual unit must perform the assessment. Yeah, must perform the assessment to ensure that assessment result will be calculated. Yeah, according to the standard requirements, say that organization shall identify GHG emission. Maybe in this case, because of the capacity, capability, and ability of the operating unit, which is they are not able to do the assessment for their own. In this case, maybe on behalf of plantation, mill operator can help, can assist the FFB supplier to calculate their process. But for me, no issue, up to the mill operator, whether they are willing to help or not their supplier. I'm okay with that. For me, I'm okay. But importantly, what is the result? Because in here, when performing the assessment, we need to capture the data. Yeah, the data must be came from the accurate data, from the original source of the data. As long as FFB supplier can supply the data to the mill, yeah, so that the assessment can be executed, then should be no problem. But based on based on the calculator, based on my study, I try my best to ensure the user friendliness of the calculator. So that's why my key area that I mentioned just during the opening session, the tool is apply for the data entry only and let the analysis result will appear automatically. But understood, maybe that came the group of people who are not able to they have capability, don't have a capability to do the calculation manually, but I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Okay, I think we will choose another 2 questions before we
Mhm.
open the Q&A to the floor. Okay, second last question is, we use international factor to calculate the GHG emissions data, which is data shared in our EMS certification. Can we use it for MSPO?
You mean this is a emission factor, right?
International factor, yes.
Yeah, okay. Emission factor, standard factor, there's almost the common term directly use the same intent. Okay, in this case, I just want to rephrase again. As long as the emission factor came from the recognized source, recognized source must be from, normally not from individual, must be represented by body. In Malaysia, let's say example like MPOB have come out with their emission factor, but not being published. Yeah, then why not? That as long as being declared from very trusted source, then should be no problem. So we can use locally or internationally. If you try to search from website, there's a lot of emission factor available in the world. Yeah, but only thing, be careful. Importantly, that we need to choose based on the recognized source only. But for me, not so very critical, because MSPO is not like ISCC. Yeah, example, ISCC provide the very immediate impact to the business opportunity, where ISCC provide the how to say, the target emission, then only they can get the certain contract. But MSPO, no. I do believe that the intent of MPOCC is currently just want to educate the industry, what is the important for us, and also the contribution for the industry about the emission. And some more, this is the way where we can tell the world our scheme is actually also concerned about the emission, and at the same time, as part of our preparation, let's say in future we will be inquired by other external parties internationally, so that from there we can show we have our own scheme, to meet with the international level. This is my view.
Okay, thank you, Encik Daman. If I may add, emission factors, we do take those that are accepted either by a national body, or if not, we mostly took from IPCC lah. So if you have any other concerns regarding the emission factors, if it doesn't match with yours, you can comment again. This is a public comment, so you can let us know what is the source that you're using from, and then we will compare whether if we should change the MSPO calculator to match that. Of course, there are a lot of things to review, but just to let members, participants here know, we will, as previously mentioned, we will accept other calculators besides the MSPO calculator if you're using it. So MSPO calculator, we design it for Malaysian use. If you're using Biograce and Enzo 2, this is what so far we have listed out. and whatever values that they are producing based on the emission factors, we will still accept those calculators. If you have any other suggestions for which calculator you're using and you want it to be accepted, you can suggest it to us. We will finalize. So when we do actually publish the final calculator, we will come out with an announcement saying that these other calculators also will be accepted by MPOCC. Right? Okay. Aina, do you have any more questions?
Maybe we can open the question to the floor.
Right. So anyone who wants to ask a question, we still have about half an hour. We will try to end by 11:50, then we wrap up. If you have questions, raise your hand. We will unmute you. You can ask your questions directly to Daman or to MPOCC. Fendi, I will unmute you. Yes, Encik Fendi.
Okay, hello. Okay, I just want to know, okay, how about the estate that send the FB to the collection center, and how to input the data since the estate doesn't send directly to the mill?
Okay. Can I answer the question, Cik Fendi?
Yes.
Okay. In this case, if you can see the organization data, yeah, the organization data does not put the next process is the mill for plantation. They put just supply base. So if that say the recipient of the FFB is a dealer, so the supply base is a dealer. Just put a dealer, which is how many quantity that you supply to the dealer, how many percent, then the distance on. That it will provide the next process. Because importantly that we need to see what is the transportation emission only. That not really consider who is the operating unit will receive the FFB. Are you okay with the answer?
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? I see there are still some chats coming in. You can actually ask your questions directly now. Maybe Aina, you want to select which questions to ask while we are waiting for someone to raise their hand.
Okay, we have received a question. Does the data and calculations needs to be certified by a third-party consultant prior to auditing?
Sorry again, Aina?
Does the data and calculation needs to be certified by a third-party consultant prior to auditing?
Okay, MPOC not so rigid lah. So as long as it's auditable and also provide the information, accurate information, then should be no problem. If you can refer to 4.5.4, the requirement also not too specific. Yeah, that's my input on it.
Okay, thank you, Cik Daman.
Okay.
Mr. Robert here is raising his hand. Okay, I will ask to unmute. Okay, Mr. Robert.
Thank you, Aina. Thank you, Chia. Thank you, Daman. Okay, I've actually listened to what you have explained on the process of this using this calculator. I would think that actually is that what Chia has just said now, that your options for other calculator formats. I think this has to be actually make it very clear in your documentations that you allow other calculator to be used where the industry has already used to it, such as the mainly is the IICC template, which is actually coming from the Biograce or the Enzo. However, from my experience, Enzo and Biograce have limitations in those input values as compared to IICC. Now, in your calculator here, you're fixed to individual estates, individual mills as an operating unit. But a lot of questions came out here talking about plantations having several estates. And there should be a flexibility allowed in the calculator to have these multiple estates calculations rather than individual estates, just like in RSPO, IICC, that give this flexibility. I would think that the whole calculator has to revamp to consider this request from the comments of all the input from the participants. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Robert. Yeah, I think this is a scheme document comment. So I will just feedback. Thank you for your comments. We will still include it as comments to this public comment session. The reason why we mix individual estates is because that's the way how MSPO certification works. We certify by estate. We can consider making it allowing for groups, but I think we have to evaluate in terms of the scheme as a whole before we make such a decision. Anyway, thank you so much for that comment. Aina?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cha. We have here is Mr. William. Okay. You can talk now, Mr. William.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hi, good morning. William from IOI. I may miss some part of the discussion, I apologize. So if I ask you the question already answered, please highlight to me. So first thing first, I think I hearing what Mr. Robert is saying, I share the same concern. It's good that we adopt the other calculators, but every calculator, they have a different methodologies. Let me put it clear. So IICC captures the emission factors in a way, you compare it, and so it's different. Then we have RSPO, PALM, GHG, we even doing the revisions, it will be different from each other. So how we want to harmonize all these things. And then is it we expecting every single plantation taking a different approach will come out with different emission? This is the first question. And the second thing is, I'm hearing it's all about, emission, but how about sequestration, removal, reduction, saving that, the plantation have already, put in? Is it fully captured? And then the third thing is, how about scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 that, this is the GHG scoping we have been talking around the world as well as in the market. Does it well capture in this calculator? So it's just a question for improvement, for discussion as well. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to answer on that?
Yeah, I think I can answer question 1, question 2. Pasal scope, maybe I'll pass to Engineer Daman. So for question 1 about accepting other calculators and how we can harmonize, right? Yeah, I do understand. That's why we are evaluating which calculator would be able to address the other issues. The reason why we're accepting other calculators is, as what both Mr. Robert and Mr. William pointed out, that we do understand that there are organizations who has already used certain calculators. So we do not actually want to trouble everyone to key in data for 2 calculators. That being said, there are certain calculators that MPOCC will not be able to access because if it's on a specific app, we will be a bit more difficult in terms of getting the data. That is one of the reasons why we are using Excel for this case also, because anyone will be able to get it. As for collaboration, I think we are quite open, but this will have to come from a more top-down approach. So if there are any more powerful forces, we can influence your management to start these discussions. Second one, in terms of sequestration, I did mention this at the beginning. It will be a bit more complex to get those values for sequestration. If any of you would have such values that we can use, we would actually prefer a Malaysian value. Or if not, you can share with us whichever value you're using. If you have those values, you can share with us. We will then consider to put it in. We actually did not include it this time is because we were having problems getting good value for this, because as of now, I think what we discussed with Encik Daman, we can confirm, Mr. Encik Daman, the value so far macam tak consistent, kan? So we did not include it yet. I mentioned for land use change and sequestration values, we actually would not include it in this version of the calculator that we will launch. Maybe in the next few years, after we have discussed with relevant authorities, then we have fixed certain values, then we might include it in both. So yeah, this will of course create an issue because the standards requires land use change and sequestration, right? So we'll come up with a note that this does not need to be calculated yet until maybe later versions of the calculator is out. Encik Daman, maybe you can answer on the third question about category. Is it category 1, 2, 3, 1?
Okay. Thanks, Chia. I will agree on him about the certain element that we place aside first for N2O emission, land use change. Actually, I have calculated earlier, but after few discussions that we put it on hold. But I'm not delete that. We just put it on hold. About the scoping, actually the main intent for us to develop this tool is actually to educate. So that's why, as I mentioned earlier also, I designed the calculator very simple, but not take it so simple, and also to ensure that all type or all level of industrial player can utilize the tools. So that's why when understand about the view, when talk about the scoping process, study in here. So for us, importantly, that we need to be to educate first. Yeah, this is our learning curve, so that all industry can understand what is the message behind, what is the benefit later, while later part industry can know, then after that only we can do the second phase and another future development process. And also, I hope for this also, we need to get involvement from industry also, can get view, can get feedback through the comment. Then from there, when there is a possibility of the benefit that we can earn, then should be no problem. And also for the thing that Mr. William mentioned just now, if that your point is value to ensure that our calculator tool will begin more recognized internationally, then why not we can take your point as part of the improvement activity before we can release as an official calculator later. Okay, Mr. Chia.
Okay, thank you, Encik Daman. Mr. William has raised his hand. I will ask to unmute.
Thanks, Encik Daman, and also
Yes.
Chia for the explanation. Just one more thing. I mean, since this is a learning curve as well as, I mean, the beginning of the the good initiative. Is there any working group will be formed? I mean, to involve the industry, as you mentioned, you know, we have been heavily involved in all the calculation as well as establishment of the PALM, GHG or whatever, you know, ISCC calculator. So is there any chance for us to share or work together to give more input rather than just this platform? Any working group will be formed and we can be participate in it? Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, William. So far, there is no plan to develop a formal working group for this. We put it up for public comment, and if we are very open to work with anyone who is willing to contribute. So we can do it directly, but so far we do not have any plans to create a formal working group for this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any more question from the floor? Okay. Okay, maybe I can read one more question from the chat box. One question from Pam Head. Is there any minimum or maximum value of the results generated from the calculator? What is the final result? What is the final result is too high? Can it be accepted as baseline?
Quite difficult to answer this because it depends on the individual operational activity, and also I don't have any right figure to say that this figure is efficient, this figure is not efficient. But then from there, we just want to use the result as part of our declaration only. Yeah, declaration, not by putting any document to declare to the higher authority. No, it's part of our operating units declaration to say that this is our emission within a year. But then to put the minimum or maximum value, I don't have to have a right figure to say that it's too high or too low. Yeah, sometimes it depends on the company's annual program. Company's annual program, example like manuring program. Yeah, but then don't let because we want to minimize the emission, then will reflect to the manuring program, so that will impact to the yield. The most importantly is the best practices must be adhered and also being practiced. But also it doesn't mean that GHG emission is not important to be complied, because as long as it has been measured and assessed, then it should be part of the requirement has been fulfilled. This is my comment. The comment may be to more play safe, or no any conclusion, or no any solid result. But then for me, it depends on the individual operating unit. Then from there, you can see how that it can impact to the operational. If the process of the collection data, assessment process can be activated for few years. Then from there, we can see the trend of the emission. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Encik Daman. Is there anyone would like to raise any question before we close the session for today? Okay.
Only thing, Aina, sorry,
Yes.
sorry. Can you copy the written in the chat room? Can you pass to me? Then from there, I can do the further study on them.
Sure.
Maybe on the certain part, I think quite value for me also to study further. Example like use of waste and the residue to input the boiler operation to generate energy. I think that part is good for me to take additional thing to be included in the calculator.
Okay, sure, Mr. Daman. We
Okay.
will compile all the comments and suggestion in the chat box as
Mhm.
public comments, and then we will send it to you lah later.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Anything else? No. Okay. All right. Okay, now we have reached to the end of our briefing for today. Okay, kindly be reminded that all comments and suggestions in the chat will be considered as public comments. However, we would like still encourage you to put all your comments in the public comment form and send it to the MPOCC. The public comment is open from 21st November until 20 December 2022. So we are welcoming your expertise and comments by submitting the comment form that you can download from our MPOCC website. You can click on the link. Okay, for interested organization to get a feedback on your calculator testing, you may also submit your result in Excel format to the standard reviews email. We open for 50 earliest organization to provide a feedback on the correct usage of your GHG calculator testing. Okay, lastly, as you have request, we will upload the briefing recording to our MPOCC YouTube channel. Hopefully by early next week, you may rewatch the recording and share with your colleague later. Again, on behalf of MPOCC, thank you everyone for participation for today. Thank you also for Encik Daman for your explanation and briefing. Any more from our side? Tak ada. Okay. Okay. Without taking more of your time, we will end this session for today and hope to see you again in the next MSPO briefing. Have a nice day and happy weekend, everyone. Thank you. Goodbye.
Pagi ini ada tersisa hujan curah semalam. Hari ini ada tersisa mimpi masa yang silam. Kemelut masih terbayang di mata hatiku yang sendu. Kupu-kupu terbang, kabarkan duka dua manusia. Lagu ini ku sembah